we'll be going over artboards in this tutorial. So let's create a new file. When we're creating a new file, these presets, right, these are defining the size of your artboard. So if we go to, let's say we want to make an art piece that is letter size 8.5 by 11, and we create the piece of paper that we're given, or let's say interchangeably, the artboard is 8.5 by 11. We can check this through the properties, and we can go Shift O for the artboard tool, or alternatively on the left side of your toolbar is the artboard tool. We can click here, and we can see here that is labeled 01-artboard 1. And this is just telling us that this is artboard number 1. You can see here on the right side of the screen, here are the inch values that is created within our frame, and then also here's the width and height of our artboard. So this verifies that when we are using presets to create new files, we are establishing the size of artboards. Now, what is the power of artboards? Well, I like to think about it as we're coloring a shape on a piece of paper and then we cut it out. We can color over the lines, and I will demonstrate that here. I'm coloring over the line of the artboard, and when we cut it out, or in this case, a preview mode is Shift F, we can see that everything else that is not within the white space or the piece of paper is cut out. Now, hey, something even better. We can use almost a copy machine as this, right? If you wanted to make a copy of what you did, right, be sure that all your layers are unlocked. We'll be going over to the artboard tool, or Shift plus O. Again, we can then see our cursor when it is dragged outside of the artboard tool. We can see that it's sort of a rectangle plus a addition mark, but when we drag it over an existing artboard, in this case 01-artboard 1, we can move this artboard around. But hey, I want to copy it, so I'm going to press Alt, and you can see my crosshairs change to a double arrow. I can then click and drag while pressing Shift to maintain the horizontal or Y position. I can release, and voila, I've got a completely duplicated all of these objects, the text, the logo, everything is the same. This is great because if I wanted to present my client with two different options, I can provide them with a pink version and a blue version. And when we look at each of them, right, it's maintaining all the Y positioning, all the locations of everything in relation to the piece of paper. But now I can export this as two things. Alrighty, so now let's actually go on to how to make a new artboard. What you can do is press click and just drag here. And you can see there's a dialog box on the right side of my cursor, and that allows me to make a new artboard so I can do whatever I would like on here. Now we're going to go back to that preview mode, or Shift F, and that crops everything out. We're able to use the arrow keys to navigate from artboard 3, which was the one that we just created, to artboard 2, the pink, and artboard 1, which is the blue. We can access all these artboards in the properties view. Here, if we press Shift O again, we are able to see the artboards, right? I have my marching ants around artboard 1. I can rename this to blue. I can then select artboard 2, pink, and artboard 3, blank. And this is so cool. And this is just the basics of using artboards. Again, that is the Shift O tool, or artboard tool, and then being able to make multiple copies. Also, let's go over quickly one more thing. If I want to export this, export as, I want to export it as a raster or a PNG. I'm just going to export one PNG. I'm going to export that. I'm going to press OK. And you can start to see something is maybe not quite right. So if I open this artboard, you can see, or this PNG that I just exported, give it a bit, it's still loading. In the meantime, let's actually export this with artboards this time, with the check mark. Okay. So you can see here that if I just click the regular export, everything in frame is included. We can see here that everything within this frame is translated onto our PNG option. Now, if we export it with the artboards checked, you can see that everything within frame here is when we go to that Shift F or preview mode to show everything on the artboard. So be sure to export as. So remember, it is file, export, or export as, or in this case we did is save as, pardon, export as, right? You want to select use artboard so that you cut out all the other excess that you were using on the side. Alright, so just recapping, the artboard tool is Shift O. To make a copy of an artboard, you want to drag your cursor above the artboard, press Alt so it goes to the double mouse. To create a new artboard, you just, again, press Shift O. Outside of an existing artboard, you can click and drag to create your new artboard. For Shift F or preview mode, or looking only at the artboard,